So in the last video, we created our new category, hats. And now you'll notice that there's nothing in hats, there's no content at all. So one thing we can do quickly is we can add a description. We can just paste in some dummy text in here, and you can see how this is going to look once we save this page. Now if we go to our hats and refresh, you'll see there's text before the products show up. This is nice if you need a description for your products. Now another thing you might wonder is, we have hats down here as the very bottom thing, but let's say we're designing this navigation to start at the top of your body and go to the bottom. So obviously we want hats, then shirts, then hoodies, then shoes, because your shoes go on your feet. So how can we rearrange this navigation? Well, luckily, the Magento system makes this really easy on us. And instead of having to mess with any values anywhere, we can actually click and drag where we want things. After a moment to resettle itself, you'll see that it saves it and everything is good. So now if we get hats, shirts, let's move hoodies up, and let's move pants above shoes even though it's not active, just in case we ever need to activate it. Now when we go to our page, we refresh again, you can see hats, shirts, hoodies, shoes. Perfect. So these are the order that we want them. Now we also want apparel to be first in our main navigation. So just like that, let's collapse this and click and drag apparel all the way up here. So now we have apparel first, and then furniture, and then electronics. Again, we don't have to do anything to save this. All we have to do is now refresh, and you can see that apparel is first on the list. So what are some other ways we can modify this? Well, if we click apparel, and then let's click hats again, you can see that we can add an image here. A good example of that would be in shirts. Notice how there's an image here added. If we go to the shirts page, let's click here, you can see we have this image. And this image is going to show up top here above our product description. So that image is just right here. Now let's click back into hats. What are some other things we can do here? Well, under display settings, you can say show products only, or static block only, or static blocks and products. There's going to be uses for these that we'll get into once we start talking about static blocks. However, we're going to leave this selected as products only for now. Also, there's this isAnchor. And isAnchor allows you to navigate and filter through products without having to click to a new page. Now, you wouldn't notice a difference on hats, but if we set apparel to be isAnchor, let's click this, and then you'll notice that apparel is already selected to be isAnchor. So let's go to the apparel page itself just by simply clicking on apparel up top here. And you'll notice instead of showing, just apparel, it's showing everything. And now it's showing all of our shopping options, which are our categories. And we can now filter through these, showing only our shirts. And instead of taking us to a new page, you can see it's actually just filtering the content. So that's isAnchor. However, for your landing categories, it might not be worth it to have isAnchor. Now, under custom design, you can specify a custom design if you'd like by selecting one of the designs that are available, and you can activate it from a certain time to a certain time. However, we're going to get more into that once we talk about changing page layouts, into the customizing your store section, which is section 5 of this series. And under category products, it's going to show you what products are selected into this category. Notice how we don't have any for hats. That's obvious if you go to the hats page. However, if we go to shirts, you'll see there's lots of shirts here. 19 to be precise. So now if we browse to our shirts category, you might notice that our URL is /apparel then /shirts.html. Well, this is nice. However, let's say we wanted to modify this for some reason. Let's say if we didn't want the URL to be the exact same as our category title. Luckily for us, this is very easy. By default, when you create a category, you'll notice that down at the bottom here, this URL key, if it's not filled in, what happens is it gets automatically generated and essentially just takes the title and converts it to lowercase, removes spaces, and puts hyphens in there. So that's fine, but let's say we wanted this to be different for some reason. There's certainly no problem with modifying this URL. So if we come in here, we can type all-shirts. And keep in mind you're going to want this to be lowercase and no spaces, so we're using a hyphen here. Now if we save this category, you'll notice that our name stays the same. We refresh this page, it's actually going to update automatically to all shirts. And that's because Magento is actually creating a permanent redirect for the old URL. So we didn't have to do anything, and it automatically took us to all shirts. Under apparel, shirts, you can see that the link is in fact updated to be correct. That's /apparel/all shirts. So if you want to modify your URL, you can just do that right down here under URL key. So now you've modified your category, you've created your category. Now we're going to want to create our hats attribute set. And we're going to add attributes to that, and then we're going to get to create some products. So check out the next video where we talk about what an attribute and attribute sets actually are.